Welcome, my friends of the interwebs. Here I am sharpening some knives with the Arkansas whetstone that W.R. Case & Sons Cutlery gave to me. Very nice of them. And talking to you about some politics. That's what I'm doing, talking to you about some politics. I have decided today to discuss the electability of Hillary Rodham Clinton. Yeah. You know, Hillary Rodham Clinton, the former hostess with the mostest, First Lady of the United States. Here's the thing. Let me just say this. Here's the thing. I do believe personally that if you're going to become president of the United States, there's a couple of things you should have on your resume. With the exception of generals who have proven themselves to, well, first of all, if you're a general in today's world, it isn't like the old days where you were basically a battle general, like in the Civil War where the generals were out front. And I don't know how many generals got killed during, the Battle of Gettysburg, but a shit ton. For the most part, generals today are administrators, and yeah, battlefield planners and things like that. But for the most part, they're administrators is what they are. And if you can handle being in charge of, hell, it's endless to be honest with you as far as generals go, but you have a huge staff and you have big responsibilities. If you could do that, you'd be president, in my opinion. I may not necessarily agree with your politics just because you're a general, but you definitely have the skill sets to make it happen. Okay, especially if you get at least to the second star. You've proven yourself. I mean, all colonels have proven themselves. So yeah, even a first star general. So anyway, blah, 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 blah. I do believe that civilians who want to become president should hold some offices before they take on a big responsibility like president of the United States. So for example, Sarah Palin, perfect example. She was on the PTA. She was then on the school board. She then ran for mayor of, was it Wasilla? Or something like that. And then she ran for, or was it city council and then mayor? I don't remember, but there's a whole slew of political positions, each one with a little more responsibility than the last, that she held before running for governor, chief executive of the state of Alaska, with all of its departments and all of its revenues and all of those things that you probably should have as far as skill set goes to run a country. Because for all intents and purposes, the governor of a state is the president of that state, the king of that state, or queen in her case. Okay, so you have some executive experience, okay, and it takes time to get to that. Now, why is that important? Well, I only really have to point to, say, Barack Obama as an example. Now, listen, Barack Obama was basically, what was he? Community organizer. Okay. He then ran his Senate race, junior senator. Actually, you know what? He was state senator first, and then he became the junior senator from Illinois. And basically, he had very little to no experience before becoming president of the United States. And, dare I say, it shows in spades. It does. It shows. Fucking horrible. It's a horrible president. And probably a big part of that is because he just doesn't have any freaking skills. He doesn't have any skills that have been honed. I don't know how many people he had under him as the quote-unquote, community organizer. But, I mean, come on. Really? Community organizer. Yeah. Yeah. So, Hillary Clinton. Getting back to Hillary. I'm going to come full circle back to Hillary Clinton. She was the First Lady of Arkansas, so she was basically the party planner for the governor's mansion in Arkansas. Pretty sweet gig, I would suppose. I mean, hey, you got to make sure that the right amount of champagne is being, purchased, and, of course, money's never been an issue for the Clintons. So, I mean, they could spend the people's money like nobody. I mean, they're professionals at that. So, okay. She went from being the hostess with the mostest of Arkansas to the hostess of the mostest for the whole United States. Pretty impressive. Well, and I will give her this. Probably a lot more responsibility than Barack Hussein Obama ever had before he became president. Just saying. So then she leaves the White House taking everything with her that wasn't literally nailed to the floor, and I think she might have even had a crowbar, I'm not sure. After pilfering the White House, she leaves to, her new adopted home state, her new home state of New York. Yeah, because she is what is the, I don't know, I guess what is the quintessential carpetbagger. She's seen an opportunity in New York, and she decided she was going to take it because there were a whole lot of liberal idiots in New York, and she was perfectly acceptable as far as they were concerned. So she goes to New York City, or excuse me, New York State, takes up residency there, and she then decides she's going to run for Senate. Of course, she knew that going into it. If there would have been any other state in the union that would have had the same scenario, lots of liberals in the state, an opening coming up in the Senate, she would have done that. If there would have been an opening in the Senate, I'm sure she probably at that point would have ran for, Congress, maybe, I don't know, or maybe lobbied to become, something. Before she always decided she was going to be president. I mean, I think she knew that going into it. In fact, if she would have got that opportunity to be a senator, she probably would have just bided her time to run for president because she's just that, arrogant. So with really no experience outside of being a hostess, she becomes a senator in New York. And although not a complete disaster, not a notable one either, in my opinion. Now, she did get to work on some things, and, it killed me. Some of the Republicans were actually, for some strange reason, trying to help her, but that's neither here nor there. So then she decides that she is going to take that vast experience as senator, which truthfully was probably much more impressive than being a hostess. Actually, I take that back. To be honest, completely honest, hostess of the White House, probably more delegation of authority than that of a senator. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here and say most senators don't really have the qualifications to become president. Just saying. I mean, unlike governors. Actually, governors and generals are probably the two most qualified, or business moguls. If you have ran a large corporation and were responsible for everything that goes on with large corporations, including hiring people and divisions and this and that, then yeah, you have the goods. You have the skill set that you've honed. So, yeah, if you're a CEO of a corporation or a major manager of a corporation, then absolutely you could become president of the United States and probably do a fine job. Unfortunately for Hillary, she had none of that going for her. None whatsoever. So, but she decided to run nonetheless, all the way up until that whippersnapper, Barack Hussein Obama, showed up out of nowhere and basically kicked her ass. Because, liberals, as much as they called her husband the first black president, they just, they were, it is what it is. But anyway, we all know how that worked out, and it's still working out. So now she's going to run for president again. Now, but this time she's actually had a little bit more to her resume. She was Secretary of State. And now, was she a successful Secretary of State? Or was she a disaster as Secretary of State? Well, well, let's see here. She had completely botched what went on in the Middle East. Under her tutelage, and unfortunately, it's even gotten worse because it's just in free fall now. It's on fire and it's just free fall. Look, we had an ambassador killed in Libya. We had several Americans killed under her tutelage. She covered shit up. She lied. She literally looked at the families of the dead and said, "We're going to make the person who made that video pay for this," or whatever, something to that effect. And in retrospect, knowing what we know now, okay, we know the truth now. We know that she was lying. It never had anything to do with any video on YouTube or any video maker. It never had anything to do with any of that. They were literally making this American a patsy. Now, was this American a good guy? No, best patsies are good guys, because there's a little sympathy for them. The truth of the matter is that what Hillary Rodham Clinton did was take an American citizen and have him imprisoned under false bullshit, chicken shit charges. Literally, chicken shit charges. And the people who argue about that can fuck off. Because the bottom line is this: if they weren't interested in using him as a patsy, they would have never picked him up. They would have never throw him in jail. And, they talk about victimless crimes all the time and blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something. This poor bastard made a YouTube video like a lot of us do. All right. I mean, that's some fucking bullshit. So literally he became Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's political prisoner. Okay, now she wants to be president. All right, she wants to be president. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, what we have is a woman who decided that it was a really grand idea to completely break the law and have her email server off grid, if you will. That's right. She had her emails from the State Department routed from her out of her server in her house, in her home. Even after she was subpoenaed for those records, okay, she deleted them. It's called obstruction of justice. If I did it, if you did it, we'd be put in prison for it. Am I correct? I believe I am. Obstruction of justice is illegal. And there is nobody that convinced me that that wasn't exactly what Hillary Rodham Clinton was doing. Obstructing justice. Now, why did she have that mail server in her home? Where she could decide what was work and what was personal? Well, it was simple. I mean, it really was. It's not rocket science, guys. She had that server in her home because that woman is a snake. She is a freaking snake. Taking money from China, making deals for uranium, plutonium, and every other goddamn thing to build bombs with all kinds of rogue countries. That's Hillary Clinton. Hey, but guess what? They donate to her, her and her husband's, charitable trust. That, by the way, they put their daughter on just in time to hopefully be indicted as well. And now she wants to be president of the United States. And the sick thing about it is, I just talked to a friend of mine. Yeah, I'm in Toledo, Ohio, so most of my friends are liberal nut jobs. Sad but true. But I just talked to a friend of mine who's a school teacher, and she told me flat out she was voting for Hillary if Hillary was running, and for one reason only, is because she felt like Hillary would do the most to protect her union job. Oh, fuck the country. Fuck the country. The country fuck the country. As long as she gets to keep her, union job, yeah, that's all she's interested in. And when I said to her, I said, well, the woman should be in prison. She said to me, well, hopefully she doesn't go to prison and becomes the next president. That's what we're dealing with. And this person has a master's degree in education. Yeah. What do? You can't beat these people. They're like cockroaches. And they just keep on breeding. And then if they can't do it, the traditional way, then they just import. They import their votes. Do you realize that 25% of Mexico is now in the United States? That's going to be a wholly separate video. I'm going to do that in just a few minutes. Anyway, speaking of that, that's all I got. Hillary Clinton can suck a dick. She can eat a bag of dicks. I will not vote for that woman. And if you do vote for her, you're fuck. See ya.